afternoon. My name is Nicola Robertson. I'm the Faculty HDR Director for Business and Law, and I'd like to warmly welcome you to this information session on the new Master of Research Business that we're really excited to be launching within the Deakin Business School within Business and Law. So welcome. I'm going to walk you through the course this afternoon, tell you about the structure, the units, the value of this course to you and to your career. Please stay with us as I walk you through this exciting new program that we have to offer you. Before we get started, of course, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I'm here today at our Burwood campus, and of course Deakin would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which all of our different university campuses are based, and also acknowledging those custodians of all the different lands from which you join us this afternoon. So, of course, this is a webinar. You have at your disposal a Q&A section where you're able to receive a written response to your question, or it might be answered live. And I'd also like to inform you, of course, that the presentation will be recorded. You are more than welcome to put your questions within that Q&A section during the presentation, or if you'd like to leave them till the end. I'd also importantly like to welcome Bronwyn Kelly, who is the Research Manager in the Faculty of Business and Law, and Jen O'Connor, who is the HDR or Higher Degrees by Research support coordinator within the faculty. And they're our expert team who will also be answering your questions throughout this presentation. So please do feel free to ask any questions via that Q&A. So I really want to start off this afternoon really saying, well, why would you want to do a research degree at Deakin, this new Master of Research business? And I'll give you a few key reasons as to why, as you see on the screen here. First of all, Deakin's reputation. So as some of you would be aware, Deakin is ranked number 26 in the 2021 QS World University Rankings for universities that are less than 50 years old. So we've got a terrific reputation. I also want to highlight the fact that our research degree graduates, whether they be masters or PhD, have a high level of satisfaction. And so this is another key reason as to why a research degree at Deakin is a terrific idea for you. We are also providing research degrees at an international standard. So our examiners are from a range of countries all over the world, and they have judged us as being at an international standard. And further to that, our examination outcomes are excellent, almost 100% success rate, which is terrific. We also provide strong professional development for all of our supervisors. So as you'll see shortly, as part of the Master of Research, you undertake a thesis in your second year, and that will be supervised by an expert team. And as I said, these are experts in the particular area, but have also undergone continuous development of their supervisory skills over time. And as you may be aware, we also have strong outcomes in terms of employability of our graduates, and that includes research graduates also. We have Deakin Talent, which is an amazing service here at Deakin, which focuses on graduate employment, and they can help you to become connected with potential employers, both inside and outside of academia. So that's why Deakin, but why the Faculty of Business and Law? Well, this is a degree that is within the Deakin Business School in the Faculty of Business and Law, and the DBS has achieved an above world-class performance rating in the most recent Excellence in Research for Australia, or otherwise known as ERA evaluation. So really at the top of our game in terms of research within the business school. Further to that, our accreditations with Equus and AACSB put us in the top 1% of business schools globally. So an amazing achievement of the business school, again, really indicating our excellence in all domains and research included within that. It's also important to mention that our staff publish in a range of very high quality outlets, journals, international journals of very high standing, but also, increasingly distributing their research in places like The Conversation, so it has impact on the broader society. And this publication success really means that you'll get high quality supervision throughout your research studies in the Deakin Business School. We also provide you with rigorous research training. And as you're going to see as I walk you through the degree structure, the first year of the Master of Research Business is all about research training in terms of coursework. So we really set you up and provide you with the capacity to be the best researcher possible. So then when you go into year 2 and complete a thesis, and this will become clearer shortly, you really have the skills and the knowledge in order to do that. And we're known for particular research themes. So in the business school, there are 4 key research themes that set us apart from our competitors. And you may well undertake research within one of these very broad domains. I will mention as well that they cross disciplines, so accounting, finance, economics, marketing, management, information systems and business analytics. Across all those disciplines, we're known for the themes of business and society, business and technology, capital markets, and SMEs and entrepreneurship. So why a research degree? And often people think, oh, I need a research degree to get an academic position. Perhaps you're looking at the Master of Research Business as a potential pathway into the PhD program, which it certainly is, and I will talk more to that in a moment. But you can see across the screen here, we've referred to various motives as to why you might want to undertake a research degree. Of course, going on to do further research, including via a PhD, might be one motivation, but there are certainly others. Obviously invaluable skills as an independent researcher, really sparking your curiosity around a topic that you're passionate about. Perhaps you want to make a change in career or position yourself for a promotion. And there is recent research that I've outlined on the slide here, where there is actually a growth in non-academic jobs that demand skills of excellent researchers. And you can see here that in the last year, there's been approximately 25,000 relevant positions advertised each month, which require excellent researchers, making this degree really valuable and really important within the marketplace. And really critical to mention as well that it's a vast array of industries that are looking for skilled researchers. And I mentioned just some of them here: consulting and marketing, finance, defence, government, engineering, energy, mining and technology. And that list certainly isn't exhaustive, but some of the key areas where we've seen growth in a requirement for skilled researchers. So I've given you the why Deakin, why the Faculty of Business and Law, in particular the Deakin Business School, and why a research degree more broadly. And now I'm going to talk you through the course itself. So the Master of Research, which I'm going to refer to from now on as the MRes. So the MRes Business is a 2-year degree. and I'm going to show you the course structure in more detail in a moment. But essentially, the first year is research training coursework, and the second year is where you conduct the research, and that is produced in the format of a 20,000 word thesis. So that's the second year. This is a degree that is available at our Melbourne Burwood campus, and the intake is once per year, and really excited to say that our first intake, of course, is in trimester 1, which is March 2023, and then it's one intake each March. So although Deakin does have other trimesters for a whole range of reasons, we're only having one intake per year at this stage. So here's a nice diagram that gives you an overview of the MRes and what it looks like in terms of units. So as I explained earlier, the first year is coursework. You can see there that we have some core applied research foundation units in the first year. 2 of those, fundamentals of research and research in practice, are 1 credit point units. And then we have a more involved research project unit, which is 2 credit points, as you can see there. And then we have our elective units. So our elective units are grouped in terms of research methods units and course grouped discipline electives. So focusing on methods, whether it be quantitative, qualitative, meta-analyses, econometrics, and then also looking at this from a theoretical perspective. So depending on the domain or discipline that you're interested in, so for example, if it were marketing, you would have course electives, discipline specific to marketing that you get to select from. And I'll talk to those and show you those in a moment. So the first year consists exclusively of coursework, while the second year, as you see here, which is 8 credit points, is your research proposal and your research thesis. And as I said earlier, the first year is really designed to set you up, to give you the skills, to give you the knowledge, give you the capacity to undertake that research thesis within the second year. So very broad research training around the research thought process, contemporary issues in business, research methods, and also the current state of theory within your chosen field, setting you up to undertake that research dissertation or thesis. Those terms are used interchangeably in the second year. So in terms of the course structure, you can see we have 4 credit points of core units, 4 credit points of elective units, and then 8 credit points for the thesis. So this sets out the 3 core units, which I will talk to in a moment and give you more detail as to what those units actually entail and what they're all about. And then you get to select your research method units and your discipline-specific units. And they're really driven, as I said, by the discipline that you've chosen. So if it's finance, there are particular units that you get to choose from that are most suitable and will give finance students the best skills to then undertake their thesis in whatever topic it is in finance in that second year. Another thing that I will say is progression from year 1 to year 2 is not automatic. So students obtain admission into the program for year 1 based on their results in year 1. They will then progress to year 2. So they need to have a 75% average across the coursework in year 1, and then ultimately progress into year 2 to complete the thesis. If exiting after year one, they will come out with a graduate diploma of business research. So this is also a standalone degree, and the MRes, although it can be used as a pathway into the PhD, as I'll talk about in a few moments, it is a standalone degree or a separate degree. So a little bit more detail as to our core units. So we have fundamentals of research and research in practice within the first trimester of year one. Fundamentals of research is really about giving you a strong background and understanding about what good empirical research is, high quality empirical research is within the social sciences. So it doesn't deal with particular approaches or techniques or methods per se, but rather looks at the assumptions and the logic that underlies those social science research. And you'll become acquainted within that unit about a variety of different approaches to research design, and helped to develop your own research project, and really importantly, be able to critically evaluate the products of empirical research, which is a really important part of your thesis component in year two, where you need to be able to critically evaluate the literature, synthesize the literature, identify a gap in the literature that you're going to address with your own research via that thesis. Research in practice, which is another core unit within the first year of your studies, again in trimester one, really walks you through the research process from identifying a problem right through to analysing your data, presenting results, and drawing conclusions and talking about implications of your work. So really a step-by-step guide as to how to conduct a high quality research project and do so successfully. And then we have research project, which is actually a 2 credit point unit and is undertaken in trimester 2 of the first year. And this is really a research proposal. So this sets you up for your full research project in year 2, because you're really developing the proposal here and showing and convincing your audience of how this contributes to the stock of knowledge within your chosen domain. So some really exciting core units that will set you up, to do that research within year 2 of your degree. There is also room to specialise within this degree, again, depending on your chosen field. And as you know, or as you might be aware, in the Deakin Business School, we have many disciplines, and I'll talk to those in a moment. You need to select 2 credit points of units, one in trimester 1 and one in trimester 2, and you can see the choice of units here. These are all around research methods. So quantitative research methods, applied econometrics, which will be more applicable to our economics candidates, and perhaps those in finance, advanced data methods, qualitative research methods, which is perhaps more in the space of IS and, information systems and business analytics or marketing and management. And then meta-analysis research methods. So again, we give you guidance as to the methods electives that will be best suited to you. So they are electives, but they are really driven by your particular discipline that you will choose before you come into the program, and will be part of your offer into the program. So here are our disciplines that I've referred to a few times this afternoon. You can specialise with these discipline electives. Again, you select 2 credit points, one in T1 and one in T2, again of year 1. And you can see here a range of units within our different disciplines: accounting, economics, finance, and of course, information systems and business analytics, as we refer to it, ISBA, management, but also sport management, if that's a particular interest, and marketing. So again, your elective choice will be driven by your chosen discipline. So some of you might be interested in this degree because it is a very robust pathway into our PhD program here at the university. And I just wanted to talk through that pathway with you. So of course, this is a standalone degree. At the start, I gave you some strong evidence that we've got growth in research jobs in non-academic positions. But if it was academia, or even not academia, but you're really interested in pursuing a PhD, and I will note that our PhD graduates, probably about half go into academic jobs and half go into industry, you know, whether it be government or business or non-for-profits, etc. So as I mentioned a moment ago, progression into year 2 of the MRes is conditional on attaining a 75% average in year 1. So the average of those coursework units that you undertake in year 1. If you don't attain that average, or you decide for whatever reason to exit early, after you've completed year 1, you will exit with a graduate diploma of business research as a standalone degree. In year 2, this is where you undertake your independent research project in the form of a thesis. As I've already mentioned, that's a 20,000-word thesis. It is examined at the end. Once you've completed, it is examined by 2 external and 1 internal examiner. And if you attain 80% or above in that thesis, otherwise known as master research, you'll be eligible to apply for our separate PhD program. So I just want to be really clear, this is not an articulation. Rather, you would complete the MRes, attain 80% in that second year, and then you would be eligible to apply for our separate PhD program. Now, our PhD program is a 3-year program. So if you're looking at the MRes and then undertaking a PhD, you would be looking at 5 years in total on average. And if you're eligible, you will complete the PhD thesis only and be exempt from coursework. Now, there are a couple of exceptions. If you're a finance or economics student, there may still be a couple of coursework units to undertake in the PhD, but otherwise, you don't undertake any coursework within the PhD if you've undertaken the MRes here at the university. So as I've alluded to, lots of growth in non-academic positions that require highly skilled researchers, and really important to highlight a range of future career destinations, and academia or university is just one of those. And lots of our PhD graduates, as I mentioned a moment ago, will even go into non-academic positions. And a research degree will give you lots of skills that importantly will support your career. So lots of value to you in undertaking a research degree. And lots of different sectors, you know, government, research institutes, non-for-profits, industry are really seeking these skills within graduates. So these include project specific skills such as survey development, research skills, including critical thinking, analytical thinking, statistical analysis, and transferable skills. And I think this is actually a really important one to refer to, because although you know, we look at basic research skills within this degree, there's lots of the coursework in year one that will really be thinking about how you can transfer the skills into real world problem solving. So we have that real basic and applied focus within our units, which I think is really important to highlight to you this afternoon. So I've alluded to some of these benefits thus far, but there's lots of important benefits and lots of value to you in terms of undertaking a research degree. And perhaps this list isn't exhaustive, but certainly, you know, building your career prospects, you know, fostering relationships and building professional reputation. Of course, research outputs, whether they be in conferences or journals or, you know, within the trade press. Of course, the most important thing, becoming an independent researcher, which is what the main objective of this degree is, you know, becoming an independent, high quality researcher, becoming an authority in your particular field, in your particular discipline where you're addressing a particular gap that you have identified through your research, and a whole range of those skills that I mentioned earlier. But ultimately becoming an independent researcher. And a research degree is really your chance to work at the forefront of knowledge. But it's not just about you. Of course, there are lots of benefits and value derived for others as well. So you'll contribute to knowledge, as I mentioned a moment ago. You'll contribute to your supervisory team's knowledge and experience and track record. You'll contribute to the university in terms of your research output. You'll have future students that follow you, and those in the field who are interested in your work, such as the international examiners that will be reviewing your important work. You can really become a contributor and a professional within your field. And more broadly, you know, the Deakin Business School is all about being a catalyst for positive change and having an impact on a positive impact on all stakeholders. And so more broadly, you know, having an impact on the economy, on society, on environment and culture, which really links back into those 4 research themes that the Deakin Business School wants to be known for, is known for, where our expertise lies. So in terms of entry requirements, which everyone is always really interested in, you need to have a bachelor's degree with a minimum distinction or equivalent average within the final year of your study. And so this should be in a cognate discipline to your proposed research thesis area. Or you might have a coursework master's or honours degree, again with a minimum distinction average, again in a cognate discipline to the proposed thesis area. You're also required to prepare a statement of intent. And essentially this is, why do you want to undertake the MRes? Why are you applying for this course? What's your motivation? And what's your proposed area of research? Are you ready to apply? I hope so. You can see here on your screen the link for direct applications. Applications are now open for our trimester 1 2023 intake, which, as I said, is in March. And those applications for domestic applicants close on the 19th of February. At this point, for international applicants, we don't have a close date, but certainly if you seek more information, I've got my email on the screen here, and that of Jen O'Connor and Bron Kelly, who are, as I mentioned earlier, are with us this evening from our fantastic research services team. So please do reach out to us if you have any further questions beyond those that are perhaps in the Q&A already. And we'd be very happy to answer any questions that you might have. Do get in touch with us.
So we've got our first question: can the course be part-time?
Thank you for that question. So at this stage, we are encouraging applicants to undertake this course full-time. That may change in the future, but certainly for our T1 2023 intake, we are interested in this being a full-time student that would undertake this course. Jen or Bron, do you want to add anything further to that?
No, I think
you've covered it, Nicola. Jen?
I was just going to say, just with the way that the coursework is structured, particularly in that first year, it would be beneficial to do it all consecutively, because if you, depending on when the coursework is running, if you're a part-time, you might end up doing it over 2 years. Or yeah, something to consider. Your work-life balance.
How many units per trimester? So it's 4 units per trimester in the first year, because the first year, of course, is coursework units. And then in the second year, it is 8 credit points, but that's the thesis. So it's not units as such. So it's only the first year that consists of units. Well, I think at this point, there doesn't seem to be any further questions. So if not, I will say good evening. Thank you so much for attending our session on the Master of Research Business. Thank you very much to Bron Kelly and Jen O'Connor for being here to help answer our questions, and hope to receive your application for our new MRes. Again, if you need any further information, if you think of a burning question after this webinar, please feel free to get in contact with us.